Hello and welcome to another SDM Tech Talks video for MMTV and YouTube. Today we're going to be going over a variety of things that will help you be a more informed consumer when using the internet, whether it's on your computer or smartphone, and how to navigate understanding how you might be using a product for free and why it's free. So, essentially, in what way are you paying if you are, paying in some way because of accessing a free product. Let's start with an example scenario so that when we talk about the bigger themes behind this, there's a bit of substance to what I'm talking about. So, let's say that we want to find the best free something. And one of those top results was photo editing app. So let's take a look at some of the options. So one thing to take note of is that we've got these results up here in a bit of a sectioned off different format than the rest of our Google results. And we'll come to talk about this more later, because if we were searching for a product, it would have done the same thing. And we could see, various different prices and stores of the product we're looking for. So that's just one thing to take note of, but we'll come back to it. However, we are going to utilize this area to take a look at some of these programs that are saying we can use them for free for photo editing. So, Adobe Lightroom, as well as Adobe Photoshop Express, are both available for free because Adobe is an established company with extensive software, so allowing users to access a stripped down version of some of their software or bits and pieces of their software in a smaller software that has less features overall. This allows Adobe to get more people using their software and then potentially wanting to upgrade what they're using to the more advanced Adobe software that they would then have to pay for. So this is one way that companies still see you as a potential consumer, even if they're giving you something for free. Sticking with this same example, Adobe would also want you to create an account. If we were to try and get Adobe Photoshop Express, it's just a mobile app. Okay. Still, same thing applies. I won't touch on it too much just because I'm not using a mobile phone for this video, but I could scan this QR code and then it would take me into the app. And what the app would want me to do is create an account. Let's see if Lightroom is the same way. So if I choose a free trial of Lightroom, so in this case, it is a bit different than what I was saying, where you would just be able to use this software with less features than some of their more detailed software. Apparently, they offer just a free trial. So, what that means is that you get full access to Lightroom and some other features that Adobe provides, but it's only free for 7 days, and then you would start paying a monthly fee after that. All right. And let's see what would happen if I did want to sign up. So it is making me choose a plan, and then I would have to actually reiterate that I do want to try a free trial. But let's find one that wants us to make an account. Let's try Prisma. I haven't heard of it, but let's see how it works. So first of all, they want to have cookies allowed, which ties into something else we'll cover, which is data tracking, a way that companies use information you give them by interacting with their products, or attempting to, like by going to their website, and then that builds a profile for you, whether it's for them to get an idea of the type of consumer you are, or if it's for your convenience to remember the type of information that you've input, like login information, so that you can save that and access your account quicker on any given website. Alright, so let's try Prisma. So another product only on mobile. What about Lensa? Okay. Looks like it might actually be in the Mac App Store, so let's see. Mac and iPhone apps. So since it's got the little computer as well as the cell phone here, and it says Mac and iPhone apps, then we might actually be able to use it on the Mac. So this brings us to another way that you will see how monetization happens with free things. So since it says get here, and this is how it works in all app stores, the wording might be slightly different, but it's the same exact process, and I think most of the time the words are the same. So since it says get instead of a price tag, that means that we can click on this and get it for free. However, as you can see right here next to it, it says in-app purchases. So what that means in a generic sense is that even though this is free, there are still things within the app that lead you to purchase something, or something of some kind. So it could be like tiers of access in the app. It could be certain features that you have to pay for, by the feature. Maybe these features are locked by pay tiers. It can work in a variety of different ways, but what this means is that you wouldn't be able to access absolutely everything in the app for free. It can vary. You know, there are certain apps that will allow you to get them for free, but you really can't use it in any way without paying. But you were able to get it. And then there are other apps where you can use a lot of features without too many advertisements to, pay them for a feature or what have you. So it really varies from app to app. So I was gonna get this app as an example, but then I would have to sign into our Apple ID here, and I don't really want to do that. But I will talk about this for a moment, because it is something I already said we would sort of circle back to, and this is one of the more important aspects of being an informed consumer and how free software, free what have you, stuff that you use on the internet, free tools, um, usually require you to have an account associated with that tool. So, in this case, app stores on cell phones and computers both require you to have an account with whoever owns the store. So in this case, Apple. So we have an Apple ID. And that Apple ID is the starting of a profile that Apple keeps a record of information about. This also, allows you a variety of different features besides just, being seen as, officially within the system. But that is part of it. So now that you have an account, you're able to access the App Store and get all of these apps for free. But that information is then, saved with Apple. So like this person has interest in photo editing apps. Therefore they might want to see more advertisements based on photo editing, things of that nature. And I'm using this in a very broad sense because each company goes about it a bit differently. I think according to Apple, they don't exactly operate that way completely, where they build that type of profile like within their systems, but the App Store allows for companies that you interact with to use your information. Let's say, so I guess for example, I've sort of been talking about it already, but if Apple wants to, they can build a profile on things that, my account or, the foundation's account, what they are interested in, right? So, if they so chose to, they could take the information about what I search for within the App Store or within their browser and send advertisements to us about those things. So potentially if I spent enough time looking at photo apps and Apple decided to use that information to advertise, they could. I don't think Apple exactly works like that, but they do have platforms for other companies to operate like that. And there are definitely aspects of that Apple does, maybe not directly on the direct to advertising to you level, but in the sense of still building a profile about you and the type of user you are and gathering information about how to improve their products based on how you use them. So, actually, I'll go back to Chrome. Another way that this data can be tied to you, like even just searching for things before you're even in a tool or software or something that you're trying to use. You're probably searching on a device. You're almost definitely doing that. And that device is going to be tied to an account, like an Apple ID, like your Google account or an Android, like your Microsoft account on a Windows PC. And then further than that, let's say that you're in a browser, like us here in Chrome. Usually, there will be a profile that you're tied to. Right now, I'm signed in as a guest, which is basically one way to say I don't want a profile for this session of Google Chrome. But if I were, if I were to have chosen one of the profiles that already exists, like SDM, then it would take save all information about where I'm going, like what I'm up to, and tie it to that profile. And then Google uses that as they see fit, but that's also something you're able to highly customize, meaning that you get to decide how Google uses your data. So that's another important thing about being an informed consumer. So if we go to account, it might make me sign in, but I think I can do that real quick. And now that I'm logged in, here we are at the Google account area where we can look at the various ways that our information is used and the type of customization we can have with that. So what type of privacy we're allowed to utilize through our Google account. So let's start off just by looking at the home section here. We have privacy and personalization, which is what we're going to go into to talk about. There's some tips for security, as well as privacy suggestions. And since there's 3 of those, why don't we go there first? So first in the checkup is the ability to set up auto-delete for our web and web activity. So as it says here, saving web and app activity, that information helps you to, get back into logged in for, into accounts, or to have record of something that you looked up before, like, what websites you were on, etc. But you are able to set up an auto delete for that so that you can pick a certain period of time for that to last, and then after that it would get erased. Same idea, but with location history. So if you have been traveling to certain places with your devices, or if you've been looking up lots of, stores or services where you would usually want someone in your area, that information or the information about your location is usually tied to those searches because it's looking for people that are relevant or services, that are relevant to you based on your area. And just like with the web and app activity, we can set up an auto delete so that, after X amount of time, that information gets wiped. All right, and last, same idea, but with YouTube history. So this is actually a good way to also make sure that uh, you're always seeing what YouTube is recommending the most to everyone, opposed to just, your tastes. Um, I would be a little curious about if they retain any of the information about like what you like as a YouTube viewer versus just the history. So that's a little bit curious. So maybe it wouldn't really change what they recommend, but it would, wipe out any history of what you've been watching. All right, so let's go into our data and privacy. So our privacy and personalization, where we manage our data and privacy rather. So our location history is just paused in general, so that's not something being tracked. So personalized ads on Google. That's something that can be turned off. Oh, there we go. Missed it. So I can do this and just turn off personalized ads so that this information does not change what type of advertisements they show me, so that they're not tracking this information and then using it to sell me things. But having this on and customizing the information it has will then get you ads that are extremely relevant to your life. Um, this is the reason why when you're talking about something, or something's like you just Googled it, and not too long after you see an ad about something like that on a different platform. This is an example of how stuff like that happens. And even though it might be a little bit off-putting sometimes, in reality it's generally a good thing, because you don't get ads for stuff that's completely irrelevant to you. You get ads for things that you might actually engage in. So it's something that works for both companies and consumers. Interesting. And they're asking me a little survey here about how I think my actions on, changing stuff in this ad center will actually have an effect on the ads I see. I'm not going to answer that right now, but just gives you an idea that Google is really working on this as something that's an ongoing and important aspect of, the everyday user's experience on the internet. So I'll just leave that on for now. Okay, partner ad settings. So this is specifically what allows Google to take your information and send it to their partners. So once again, I'll leave that on because it ties into exactly what I just said. But this is where you can go to customize or, disallow that. All right, so personal results in search. So that's similar, except this is pertaining to just the results that I see in searches. All right, so who's able to see information about the profile, right, that is being built around our email address at the SDM Foundation. Okay, and so over here we have symbols. We got the little two people as well as the padlock. And the padlock means only I can see it, and the little people means that anyone can see it, so it's public information. So our name as well as the profile picture are both public information, but gender, birthday, those are private. So contact information we also have as public or viewable to anyone, but then we don't have any other information saved. But if you have a lot of information tied to your Google account, you can decide what is seeable and what isn't. For a personal account, maybe some of this stuff you definitely don't want seen, or you don't want your contact information, viewable to anyone. But if you're a business, that's something that you probably would want, because if you're going to be found, in search results, people want to be able to contact you. Because even though it's like an individual profile, companies have them too, and that can be tied to how they have themselves on Google. So it can be relevant to how people find them. All right. And we're always able to go into things like this, like who can see your data, and it should take us through a bit of a breakdown about how things are happening and why, and then as well as then once again gives you an option as to how to deal with this type of thing, right? So it's about who can see your info, and then if we click see your options, it's going to take us to the area where, basically I just was, info you share with others for your profile, location sharing, information about who has access to various different things that are tied to this Google account, like our Drive, calendar, photos, mail, the Google Play apps, and YouTube. And these are other, third-party apps and services that has direct information as a result of our Google account because of um, setting up something at some point, like a Windows computer, a Mac computer, or signing in at typing.com. So even if you don't do a deep dive in this area of your Google account, at least knowing about it and understanding what your options are or the possibilities are, and that companies like Google are legally required to um, be more transparent with what they do with your information. Like this wasn't how Google operated 10 years ago, um, but now you have the ability to see everything about what they do with that information. So even if you're not going to come here and do this, at least knowing about it and being aware, knowing that if there's changes, Google will have to make changes as well. It is something that makes you a much more informed consumer in the internet age that we live in. And that is all for this video, and we hope to see you in the next Tech Talks video for MMTV and YouTube. Thanks. Bye.